Alright guys, so I've been getting a lot of questions regarding the PIMP medical pouch from Kinetic Consulting and Flatline Fiber Co. I already went ahead and took out the insert, already kind of uninstalled it for you, so it'd be a little bit easier so you don't have to see me undoing the screws and so forth, right? So regarding this, the biggest thing that what you'll need and what I use is obviously you need the PIMP pouch if you're looking at doing this, right? So this is designed to be more in a horizontal setup, right? They have it where you can run it through a belt loop or you can use malice clips, so super easy there, very convenient. But I like to run my stuff more vertical to save a little bit of belt space, right? Instead of horizontal, I like to run it more vertical. This is really good for me as far as if I'm seated inside a car, if I fall on my back, right? I'm not generally hitting my lumbar, especially where guys ride it more of right on their back, right center of their back. That can be an issue. So I try to keep everything more towards the support side and I keep it vertical. That's what I like to do. I'm sure there's other medical kits that do this, but I had to modify it for this specific pouch. And let's talk about the modification. It's really not that hard. What you'll need is you'll need the Garden Warrior Solutions. So this is from the Garden Warrior Solutions. This is their inserts, right? So like Tegris clips that they use for various pouches and so forth that you could pick up from them. So I always have it on the dump pouch here, right? We can always talk about that later. But I have the Adapt 2 short. So this is the Adapt 2. This is not the short version, but this is the Adapt 2. I don't know if this is the regular or the long. I don't remember. I kind of actually messed up when I ordered this, so it was convenient that I had it and it just worked. You may find a little bit better solution by maybe going the short version and so forth, but right now I just have the Adapt regular version, I believe, right? If I need to correct that, I will, or maybe I'll tag Guardian in this and he can be like, yeah, this is what it is. Okay, so you need this, and then it comes with screws, washers, and etc. So I use all the nuts and bolts, if you will, from Garden War Solutions. When you get it from Kinetic Consulting, it doesn't come with this insert, and then obviously you don't get the hardware because generally it's mounted directly on the belt or malice clips. Okay, so you do need, again, Adapt 2 from Garden War Solutions. All right, let's put a quick pause. So I somehow forgot to mention this in the video, but how do I know where to put the holes? So essentially I have to line up the Integris mount clip, right, again from GWS, behind the belt, and then I need to measure the distance for the distance from the belt to the very first initial hole, right? So I'm trying to make sure there's no spacing there. I don't want the kit itself to move up and down too far. So that is why I didn't use the bottom holes that were already installed. I had to pre-drill new ones. So put the Integris clip on there with the pouch empty, and then just measure the distance from the top of the belt to the bottom of the belt, and then you have to mark that, and then again pre-drill on those locations, right? So hopefully that makes sense a little bit now. I just wanted to make sure kind of clean that up so that way you knew exactly where to, again, pre-drill the holes, because in the video they're already there, so it makes it easy. So again, to find those out, put the Integris mount on the pouch, right? Put the pouch around the belt, measure from the top to the bottom, and that should give you the location of the holes. And again, you're going to have a little bit of trial and error, but as long as you stay pretty close to that, you should be fine. All right, let's continue on. Now on this, I don't remember exactly which ones were the stock holes, right? So, but what I did, I had to pre-drill 2 new holes, which these are the top ones right here. So I pre-drilled these, right? So marked them, pre-drilled them, drilled them out, and then burned them with a lighter so it'd be a little bit cleaner. And then same thing on the back end here. So certain ones of these are the stock ones, and then these 2 right here I had to pre-drill, and then I believe I did another 2 somewhere where I messed up on, I believe these 2 right here, if I'm not mistaken. One of these 2 for sure, and then I think this row or this bottom row, I don't remember, but because I had a little bit of trial and error going on, right? So on this, right, generally, hopefully you can see this well with the lighting. So generally I'm going to run it through that first loop up top. So you'll get it going. Okay, you have to play around with it, and then you have to see where the holes need to line up at, right? So you're going to have a little bit of trial and error. So as I get through here, right, I can notice my first 2 holes are there, and then everything else should line up on its own too as well, just depending where you're putting it on the belt itself. Okay. So I have my holes there everywhere I need to be. This may be a little off here. Now, it's not always going to be perfect. You're going to have to do a little bit of trial and error here. But once you get them lined up, right, you want to mark them. So I just use like a little piece of white paint, something high vis, green, etc. Mark them, right, each the holes where you need them to be. And then from there, let me take this out. From there, I simply, or again, mark them. And then I just used a knife to kind of pre-drill the hole, if you will. And then with a knife, I kind of rounded it out because I didn't want to use a typical drill. I didn't want to go too far where I went completely through the kit. So I just used a knife on this. Once I made the hole big enough, then I just kind of made it a little bit wider to accept the receiving end of the nut here, right? So of the screw, right? So once they're good to go, I have that set. Okay. Now on this, you only have so much spacing behind here, right? If I go further down, you may not be able to see it. There's a seam right here, and the seam itself will block this, so you only have so much wiggle room. As you can tell, I kind of messed up. Initially I had 2 holes here, right? So I just messed up on my marking. So you may have a little bit of trial and error, but you'll have enough room right behind here to obviously place at least 4 of these. As long as you don't mess up too much, you should be fine. It hasn't damaged the material and it hasn't worn over time, right? So that's one thing I was concerned about is, will these start to degrade and open up wider and wider? And I've been running it for months now and no issues, right? So keep that in mind. So once you get them pre-drilled, now you can install the receiving end up for the screw. You're good to go there. We'll come back through, run it through the top portion again. And sorry if this is a little not on the high quality end, right? I'm losing a little bit of lighting. I don't have a good overhead system or good lighting on that yet, but it's something I'm working on for future videos. So once you get that going, you're good to go there. Again, I'm using the DM belt, so it makes it pretty easy to get this in and out through the webbing system. So big fan of the DM belt defense mechanism. Right, so keep that tight. Of course, it's probably going to be somewhat of a pain to install this on video. So the first 2 holes are there, right? So I did use 2 washers, or spacers, should I say. I used them on the top portion. Again, don't get that one too tight where you can't put in the other one. And only had the 2 spacers up top. I was worried more about the movement and going up and down, right? So I just wanted the spacers up top. You could probably use them on the bottom as well and you'd be fine, but I've had no issues. And then again, just kind of wiggle it in there. You'll kind of hear them somewhat do a click to kind of let you know they're in there, depending on how stiff it is for you or not. Now you could probably get the Adapt 2 shorts and you wouldn't have to worry about this bottom portion, but this one actually works really good because now I'm supporting the upward portion of the pouch but also the bottom portion of the pouch, and so I think you'd probably be fairly you probably do pretty well with this mount itself. If you get the short, it probably comes to here if I'm not mistaken, or the top portion only, and you're not worried about the bottom portion. But I'm just trying to support a little bit more of the weight of the kit and just have a little bit more leverage and control over it. So I think you'd be fine even with the short or this version. You'd probably be good to go. And like I said, I've been running it for months and my kit has not fallen out vertical, right? So I've had no issues with losing my med kit. I've had no issues of having to like always check on it to make sure it's tight enough. Now, I mean, that's a good probably practice to do anyways, just to make sure. But it depends like how much movement you're doing, right? Rolling around the ground, vehicle stuff, competition, you name it. So it'll be definitely dependent on your mileage, as they say. But as you can tell, it takes a little bit of time, but it's very doable. Trying to get it. Why won't you go in your hole? If you're like me and I'm like, hey baby, is it in? So just tight enough, right? Obviously don't want to go torque specs, but just tight enough where you feel comfortable in there, and that's good to go. So now you don't have any movement, right? You're locked in, you're set. So you're controlling now the upward portion and the lower portion of the med kit, and then you can obviously insert your PIMP pouch, right, with no issues. As I say, no issues, of course, as most of my demos go in life. Obviously, you should probably like kind of loosen up the paracord on the side, but it's still doable. From there, you're set. Then obviously you can fine tune this and adjust it to where you need it to be exactly, but this is what you're looking at, right? So good to go there. So you got the PIMP pouch in a vertical position. That is normally how I do it. That's the easiest way I found to do a vertical position, using the PIMP pouch with the Garden Warrior Solutions Adapt Tube mount. If you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this video, you could see it, right? Again, I don't have the best setup for this, something I'll be working on, but yeah, let me know what you guys think.